We're going to continue with the Cassinger files. And we left off last time where Troy McCoy was talking about seeing Chris and how everybody's showing up. And yeah, the conversation definitely shifted from Troy being kind of weird, right? We thought he was a little sketchy. We didn't know if maybe there has been some type of communication before, maybe who knows, somebody went out to Cervi 319 and let the leak out. So there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of theories about the explosion theory. And so we're still continuing down that rabbit hole to see if anything is plausible or if Chris Watts got help. So yeah, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Troy McCoy interview. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and check out the video itself. Watching it without commentary, it is on CrimeTube, right here, CrimeTube YouTube channel, and then go ahead and give them a like as well, as they have the original content, or actually the original interview with some nice background imagery here. All right, let's continue.
I know that we had training set up to go because Luke sent out a message for training that we had to have at the Aquaterra State. So I went to the Aquaterra State
First?
No, not first. I'm trying to pull it up for you.
Sure.
Okay, we're still on Monday. Let's go to Tuesday.
Did you have any contact with Chris on Monday evening?
Monday evening, the text messages I gave you.
Yeah, I think
I just sent him a
just
text.
asking how he was.
Okay.
Chris was pretty short, or just saying.
Yeah, none of his replies were very long.
No.
But and then Luke sent out in the group me that morning at 6:31.
Well, of course they weren't, because he was busy. He was busy disposing of his family. So again, very interesting that he notices, right? Troy McCoy noticed that Chris Watts's replies are very short, even at night, at Monday evening, when everyone is asking him, "Hey, do you need help? Do you need support? Like, let us know what you need. Your family is missing." He's like, "You know what? The FBI has taken it over. Oh, it's okay. Pray really hard, because that's what I'm doing right now. Really, really hard. So hard that my eyes popped out." Right? That's what Chris is saying. And those are the replies that apparently Troy McCoy is also getting. And again, it gives us, as we know what Chris Watts did. But even if this went into an actual trial and a full on investigation, it shows you that Chris didn't really care. The entire time, he was really mostly worried about covering up for him and any accomplice that he may have had. Let's continue.
One that Chris would not be in that day.
6:31.
Yes, because I guess he called and talked to Chris Tuesday morning.
Who did?
Luke Apple.
Luke. Okay.
Okay, they ordered an air compressor. Everyone meet me at the Aquaterra State, 1836 at 11:15 p.m. for some training. Bring your Mod 1 books if you have them, because we got to complete our Mod 1 before November for any APC blue badges.
What's a Mod 1?
A Mod 1 is a general knowledge of all your parts, moving parts, your separators, your pumping units, your ECDs, your gas compressors, your VRUs, your VRTs. So they want you to be able to go out to a location and walk them through every step on how that functions. So I tested out last year at the beginning of this year on it, and if you didn't get a 2 all the way around, then you would have to turn around and redo it. So the ones that I missed, we're going over some of that, and Luke had another meeting that day, so he had to have a phone call at 1 o'clock. So we set on that location and we went over the air skids.
His voice is really low. It's really hard to hear what he's saying. It's almost like they pulled away whatever they were using to record him. They moved away from him a little bit. Here, let's see. I'm gonna put the volume up a little. Maybe that will help us, and maybe on my end too, because I cannot hear anything the guy is saying. All right, I'm gonna turn it up, blast it on mine. Now, I hope I don't blast your ears off. For all of you watching Corey Richins with me the other day, we all got our eardrums destroyed. Hey, no fault of my own. It was the actual video, the live recording of the court hearing, and that's what just blasted everyone's ears off. So, yeah, earmuffs, everybody, earmuffs.
So Aquaterra State's not anywhere
All right, so Tuesday morning, you came here,
Yes,
got your burrito.
yes.
All right, and what do you do? Do you hang around the office, go check
Well,
stuff?
I hang around the office for a little bit, just talk to the guys, and then after that, I'm trying to remember honestly if it was Tuesday or what day it was. Victor Zambala was having trouble gauging the tank, so I went out with him because he's one of our new guys. He's having trouble color cutting, and that was at the Canon 6768, and
Where's
I
that
went
one at?
there, right off County Road 22.
So fairly close.
Yeah, County Road 22 and 31.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to remember whether or not Tuesday, because Tuesday you guys had me come back, I believe, to the office.
I think we spoke Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
When
think
we
it was
came in?
Wednesday.
Okay. Well, okay. I got a call from an officer in Frederick, but that was at 2 o'clock or something like that. So I know I either helped gauge tanks or something that morning, and I told them that we needed to head to training, so we headed out.
Yeah, we have another mumbler. He is mumbling, right? But it also does feel like they may have pulled the microphone away from him at times. But yeah, he's mumbling a lot. But notice here he talked about going back the next day. Now we have seen, right, that Troy went back the next day. We also heard from Ronnie himself say things like, who knows, right? Are you covering up, Chris? Right? Or maybe that's not how he's asking these questions. He's like, "Hey, Chris, the holes on the eight inches not deep, and there's no way you put the girls in there. There's no way. No. Are you covering up for somebody, Chris?" And so Chris is like, "No, I was actually just out there pooping. That's what I was doing. I just couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold it." And so now we're hearing that Troy went out the next day, and there is this speculation that maybe there was some type of cover up going on. Maybe Chris was covering up for somebody else. Maybe they dug up whatever Chris was getting rid of, right? Which, if he was just emptying his bowels, why do we need to go back there and dig anything up, right? Like, let the sunflowers die. Poor sunflowers. They didn't ask. They didn't ask to get shat on by Chris Watts. But I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? Those poor sunflowers are now dead. Make sure you don't eat any sunflower seeds from that location. But I mean, here we go. We're talking about Troy McCoy talking about going out the next day. And so let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say. But yeah, let me know. Is the sound better? I know he's mumbling a lot and the the volume is a little weird. So let's continue.
Or did I go with Daniel Barr? I don't know. If you guys pull my card aside, you guys can tell exactly where I was. I was either with Daniel Barr or Victor Zambala that day.
Okay, and then you go to the training.
Yeah, we go to the training.
What time was that?
Training. Well, that we had to be there by, like, 11:15? Is that what I said?
Yeah, I think that was what you said.
Yeah, 11:15 for the Mod 1 training. So I show up at the Mod 1 training.
And where was that at?
The Aquaterra State.
Where's that at?
Aquaterra State is, I don't know what the intersecting county road is, but 47 and 4, and then you go east a quarter and south into.
Okay, how far is that from here?
It's on the other side of Hudson. So
Oh, it's a ways.
Yeah, it's on the other side. Like if you take 52 out, like you're going through Hudson,
Mhm.
straight through Hudson, the first road right outside of Hudson, if you're heading to the east, is County Road 47. First dirt road that goes south. So you take that dirt road, go south all the way to County Road 4, and then from 4 over about a quarter of a mile, and then south into.
Oh,
Okay. Is that like a training center for you guys?
No, that's just a vertical that they wasted a lot of money on.
Okay.
Well, it's built closest to the HZ sites. I think it's the only site that we have in the field that has pneumatic air,
Okay.
where all the dumps and everything are run off air compressors. So that's the reason why he went there to train us, because he wanted to go over the air compressor portion of the training.
Okay. So how long does the training last?
Almost until 1 o'clock, because Luke had 15 minutes until he had to be on the phone whenever we were wrapping up.
Okay. So what do you do after you leave the training?
Okay, there from that point, I've got everything here going through my head, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because it's been since Monday since we've heard anything from Shanann.
Okay.
Right.
Wait, let me stop you there.
No, you're fine.
So you said you got everything in your head. What Tell me what that means.
Well, everything that's going on. I mean,
With
yeah, well, Chris took off
Okay.
work, and I'm worried about his wife and his kids.
Okay, he's getting into it. I'm gonna just go ahead and rewind it a little bit because it did get a little, I wouldn't even say tense, but he started talking about the training event and he was asked to go out the next day and yada yada yada. And then he gets into, oh, and then there was a lot of things going in my head. And investigator stops him right away and says, "Hold up. What kind of stuff is going through your head?" Right? Because he was just done talking about how they went to a training the following day. And then he goes into he starts thinking about the things that are going on. So, oh, there's fur flying. So he's gonna start getting into the what he believes Chris Watts was actually doing, and this is where it gets really interesting. I've only heard this bits and pieces, but it does get interesting because he realizes actually Chris wasn't really acting as though he was worried about his family. He acted more worried about something else. And that's what really stands out here because again, we don't really know to what extent Troy McCoy knew about any of this, right? We don't have any evidence that he was fully aware of what was going on, but the way that he describes how Chris was acting tells us that Troy actually thought, this guy is acting weird, but it's not because his family is missing. It looks like he's acting weird because of other reasons. So let's go ahead and listen.
I've got everything here going through my head, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because it's been since Monday since we've heard anything from Shanann.
Okay.
Right.
Wait, let me stop you there.
No, you're fine.
So you said you got everything in your head. Tell me what that means.
Well, everything that's going on.
With
Yeah, well, Chris took off
Okay.
work, and I'm worried about his wife and his kids because I've known his wife and his kids. I've been over, hung out with Shanann, hung out with Bella, and everything. So I'm like, what's going on here? And he's been real short with me on text messages,
Mhm.
and there's been no news updates. I've been seeing, stuff coming out that people are looking for me. Everybody's sharing it on Facebook. So I was like, well, if nothing else, it's 1 o'clock. I don't have anything else to do. I'll head back out toward that that 319
Okay.
and, see if I see anything out of the norm and stuff like that. And that's the same time that officer called me
What prompts you to want to go to the 319?
because that was the first location we were at that morning.
Okay. Just
What? Okay, so Troy was going out by himself? No one sent him. The dude is just like, you know what? Something's weird. Let me go investigate. It seems like Troy just took it upon himself to go out and see if there's something weird that he can find. Is that what's going on? Uh, is that what he just said? That is what he just said, right? Let's just go ahead and rewind it just a little bit because what? Who is sending this guy to go look for things? Somebody's wife is missing. I mean, imagine, right? Imagine your coworker or someone you know and their family is missing. I mean, I guess, right? Would you go out way out to Cervi 319? I mean, here, let's go ahead and pull up Cervi 319, right? It is far out in the middle of nowhere. And so, if nobody's sending you out there to do investigative work, why would you go out there on your own? Right now, again, who knows? Maybe he's just very curious. Maybe he has aspirations of becoming a detective someday. Who knows? But it's still, I think it's still strange, isn't it? I think it's a little strange because it is way out, right? It is too out of the way to decide on a work day or not to go out there and see. I'm just gonna look. I wonder what I find in all of this, right? All of this. Look at it's way out here. There's nothing other than these little crop circles, right? This is where the aliens land from Signs, the movies. Meh. That is where the aliens land. There's nothing out there. So why is he going out there on his own accord? He's like, yeah, you know what? Something strange. I'm gonna go check. Now again, I'm not saying anything suspicious about that. I just think it's weird. What do you guys think? Yeah, very, very remote. Exactly. It was Tuesday morning. Yes, it was. It was just Josie's. Yeah. Well, yes, we'll go ahead and rewind. What else? He couldn't talk all that way. There had to be tire marks. I missed the date of Troy's interview. Anyone know? This was, do we know? Let's see. Let's see if it has it on the actual description here. Um, August. It just says August 2018, the murders. So, we don't know. That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. If anybody knows the answer to that question, please drop it in the chat. But yeah, Troy McCoy's date of the interview, it may have been what? I mean, he's talking about going out there Tuesday, right? So it may have been either the same week or maybe the following week, just because of the way that he's describing going out the following Tuesday. But again, I don't know. You guys let me know. Troy isn't part of it, but that's really late to go out. He probably had an inkling. Right. Yes, exactly, Cosmo Bear. Right. And again, we're looking at this, right? We're listening so that we can look at every single theory and anything out there that might make sense. So far, I haven't really seen anything that would lead me to believe that Troy was in on anything other than just, he's just very mumbly. But that's just the way he talks. And maybe the way that he explains things is a little weird, but maybe he's just really nervous. I mean, he's talking to the police, right? He's talking to the police. Who knows? Maybe he didn't like to work all that much and he's like, I'm gonna go have a little picnic out at Cervi. And he doesn't want his bosses to find out that he was having a picnic on the clock. I mean, who knows, right? There are many reasons why he might be a little bit nervous talking to police, but again, we haven't really seen anything that um might, suggest that Troy was in on any of it. But let's continue. Let's go ahead and listen what else he says.
If people are looking for me, everybody's sharing it on Facebook. So I was like, well, if nothing else, it's 1 o'clock. I don't have anything else to do. I'll head back out toward that that 319
Okay.
and, see if I see anything out of the norm and stuff like that. And that's the same time that officer called me
What prompts you to want to go to the 319?
because that was the first location we were at that morning.
Okay, just because, or
Yeah,
something's tripping your
honestly.
suspicion here, obviously.
Well, I mean, honestly, because I seen him in the different clothes. Okay, I seen him in that, and then, and he just was short with me that day.
Okay.
He wasn't really like engaging in conversations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, 11 o'clock to noon, his wife's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, and he thought that she went to a friend's house or whatever. I'm like, this is, even in my head, it's not adding up.
So you've been thinking about this quite a bit as
Well, I love
Monday
my
went
guys
along
I work
and-
with. They're all like my brothers.
yeah.
Honestly. You can ask my whole group. I would do anything in the world for them. I'd be there for them. They can talk to me about anything, and everything. And I was like, man, this is just so weird because they're such a picture perfect couple. And then all of a sudden she's just gone,
Mm-hmm.
and that didn't make any sense to me because by then we'd heard that the cell phone was there, the kids' medication was there, the purse was there at the house, everything. And Shanann and the girls were gone. That didn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
Because Shanann lives on that phone because that's what her business is that phone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I drove out to the 319, and as soon as I went through the gate was already open. There was a water truck driver on location,
Okay.
and from MPT, and I signed his JSA. So I parked out by the wellhead, and I didn't want to alert the guy that I was, out there looking for anything odd and suspicious or anything like that. So
You know what time that was?
There's a water truck out there. There was already a water truck out there? Doing what? Oh, wow. Okay, notice everything that Troy said before that. Again, right? This is Chris's coworker, and a lot of coworkers knew about Shanann. They knew that he was happily married, that he had kids. They knew about his family. How is it that every coworker on the planet, well, maybe not everyone on the planet, but every coworker that Chris knew of and knew that they knew him, they all knew that it was weird that Shanann was missing, except for Nicole Kessinger. She's the only one, apparently. Nicole Kessinger is the only one of everyone that was like, it's okay. Let her fucking go. She'll be back. She'll be okay. Let her cool down. Let her breathe. Just let her fucking go. She'll be back. Everyone is saying that it was weird that she wasn't, that she had just gone without her phone, without her keys, wallet, everything. And the thing is that none of them had to be really, really close to Chris to know that. because everyone knew that Shanann lived on her phone. She was on Facebook. And again, knowing that Nicole Kessinger was Googling the family, right? She's Googling the family. She is very, very heavily on Facebook. She knows exactly what's going on because she Googled the family. It is so weird that Nicole Kessinger continued to say, I just thought it was normal. She's going to come back. Everything's going to be okay. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I honestly wasn't even worried, right? A lot of contradictions. And here we're listening to Troy say that he thought it was weird. For him, it was so weird that he felt that something was so off that he needed to go out to Cervi 319 the next day. And the interesting thing is that there was already a water truck out there. A water truck? Wait, was the water truck connected to the tanks? Or what? Okay, let's go ahead and keep listening because if the water tank is connected to this, the girls are already in there. But okay, I don't want to jump to conclusions. Let's go ahead and keep listening.
Around 2 o'clock or so, I
Okay.
arrived out there, and I talked to the gentleman and everything like that. I told him, I was like, well, I think, I might have forgot a crescent wrench or whatever, because I didn't want him to tell him, because I didn't know if I should look around the field or what I should do. So that's what I told him.
Okay.
And then I signed his JSA, and I turned around and looked at the clock, and it's like, it's so freaking late that by the time I get out of Cervi Ranch and back to, the area around like County Road 22 and, 37, kind of like a baseline, if somebody needs me, then I'm going to be way too far away. So I went ahead and just got back in my truck after I signed his JSA and left location
Okay. Why did you sign that?
because I'm supposed to.
Okay.
What is
I
it?
have to sign that
What
JSA.
is a JSA?
Job site analysis.
Okay.
So these contractors that work for us, if they pull up on a location, they pull a tank, which he pulled the open top water pit, is what he pulled. That's what he was hooked up to.
So this water truck driver, do you know who that is?
No, sir, I don't know his name.
Okay.
But I did sign his JSA.
Okay.
Did
Is
you
that
know?
what this is?
I signed electronically. He just handed it to me and said, sign this. Because it's his JSA. So you're supposed to go through the steps in order to pull procedures. Yes, that's exactly what that is.
Okay. So this thing here has a list of all these questions and who filled all this out?
He would have.
He did.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is something he fills out every time he goes
You're
on
supposed
site.
to. Every time you go, well, not every time you go on a site, but if you're pulling a load of water, like if they're just driving up on a site, they don't have to pull one out. But if you're doing any kind of work that's outside the realm of normal activity, but for them, that's their job. So they're required to fill out a JSA for Anadarko.
Okay.
So they have to fill out the JSA, they have to go through their job steps and everything. When we pulled up, he had his vent line and everything in the right direction. He had it vented away from his truck, and the wind wasn't blowing toward his pickup or nothing like that.
Where is he parked when you get here?
He is parked, okay, your water pit's right here.
Yep.
He is parked right here.
Is that a normal place for him to park?
Yeah, that's a normal place, I would say, for him to park, so he can, because I believe you have to go over the top to pull these open top pits. So he would just put his load line inside that pit right there and then pull out the sludge.
Okay.
And he was hauling this load to the OPF.
Where?
The OPF, the oil polishing facility,
Okay. Where's that at?
that's on County Road 49.
Where do you park when you pull up on Tuesday?
Wait, so the water is attached to the tanks, right? Oh my goodness, is that what he just said? The way that he's describing it, again, we don't have the actual photo. I really wish we had this on video so that we can see what he's marking if he is describing something, because he's describing maybe the water tank, or sorry, the water truck is actually connected to the tanks because either water is being pumped into or being pumped out of the tanks, right? This is crude oil, and crude oil, right? The way that it sits, all of the heavy materials sit at the very bottom of the tanks. So all the sediment, any heavy materials are at the bottom, and then you have the water, and then you have the oil, right? Or vice versa, maybe the other way around. And so what it sounds like, it really does sound like a water truck was already there the following day. So on Tuesday, let's go ahead and pull up our calendar. Oh my God. This is new information for me. I wonder if NK scheduled the water truck. This is new information. Okay, so okay, here, let's go ahead and look at, August the 14th, and let's look at the month just so we can see what else was going on. Alright, so on the 14th, we have the sermon on the porch, we have a lot of things going on, right? Chris Watts is using the phone, we have a bunch of Nicole Kessinger trying to call him, but this is because they were already caught, right? Allegedly they. But Chris, at least, Chris was already he had already messed up the entire plan, and so the plan was falling through already. So that is what we have on the calendar. But let's go ahead and look at the calendar without seeing what actually happened. Let's go ahead and look at it from the point of view of this plan actually working, right? What would be the reason of having a work truck there, a truck that is designed to either add water to the tanks or take water out? Why would the truck be there exactly the following day? Now, it could just be a coincidence, really. It could just be that the water truck was already scheduled before that, but it is very coincidental, right, that it happened immediately after. So they were disposed of on the 13th. And then the next morning, as Troy is talking about it and he's discussing what happened, he got to the office and then he went out to Cervi 319 to see if there's anything else going on. And he sees a water truck at the tanks. Again, it could very well be something that was already scheduled and it could have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with any of this. But what if it did? Like somebody just mentioned in the chat. Who was it? Let's go ahead and Oh, Tiger, thank you so much. Aw, thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Thank you so much for the $5. Aw, thank you. Celebrate, celebrate. um yeah, somebody here in the super chat said, that or sorry, in the super chat, in the chat said that maybe Nicole Kessinger scheduled, right? She may have scheduled the tanks to show up because the girls are in the tank. And if there is a water tank connected to the tanks and it's mixing stuff in there, what is that doing? It's destroying evidence, right? Is that not what it's doing? It's destroying evidence. And the thing that really popped up in my head when I heard this was thinking about the autopsy reports of Bella and Cece. Bella was found with oil in her stomach. In her stomach. Now, oil wasn't found in her lungs, and so because it wasn't found in her lungs, it is suggested that she wasn't alive at the time that she was dropped in there because she didn't inhale any of the lungs, or sorry, any of the oil into her lungs. But because it was in her stomach, I mean, again, I don't know, all right, I'm not a forensic scientist of any sort, but now that we're hearing about this water truck, what could this mean? And again, it could very well just be it was scheduled, right? It's something that Anadarko schedules for some reason, or on whatever day, but what do we think? What do we think about this? He said it was pulling out sludge, right? Who was going to sign the JSA since Troy was not scheduled to be there? Valerie. Yes. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's a very good question. That's a very, very good question. Okay, so Troy McCoy signed the JSA because he happened to be out there, right? He happened to be out there at that time because he's claiming that he's looking for stuff at Cervi 319. But if he wasn't out there, then who was going to sign the JSA? Who was going to sign that what is it, the joint site analysis? And that's why it's called a joint site analysis, right? Because it's joint, right? At least that's how I'm understanding it. Please explain it to me if I'm getting it wrong. The way I'm understanding it is that this water truck company, right? They are separate from Anadarko. They are contracted to show up to the site. And so an Anadarko employee has to be on site to make sure that that third party, that contractor, is doing the job correctly. Therefore, Troy signed the JSA saying, yes, you completed the job correctly. Is that not what we heard? And again, please let me know if I'm getting the information wrong, but that's how I understood it. So that's a very good question. And I think, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to ask that. Let's go ahead and listen to it just one more time in case we missed something important that he said.
Okay.
So they have to fill out the JSA, they have to go through their job steps and everything. When we pulled up, he had his vent line and everything. And that's exactly what that is.
Okay. So this thing here has a list of all these questions and who filled all this out?
He would have.
He did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is something he fills out every time he goes
You're
on
supposed
site?
to. Every time you go, well, not every time you go on a site, but if you're pulling a load of water, like if they're just driving up on a site, they don't have to pull one out. But if you're doing any kind of work that's outside the realm of normal activity, but for them, that's their job. So they're required to fill out a JSA for Anadarko.
Okay.
So they have to fill out the JSA, they have to go through their job steps and everything. When we pulled up, he had his vent line and everything in the right direction. He had it vented away from his truck, and the wind wasn't blowing toward his pickup or nothing like that.
Where is he parked when you get here?
He is parked, okay, your water pit's right here.
Yep.
He is parked right here.
Is that a normal place for him to park?
Yeah, that's a normal place, I would say, for him to park, so he can, because I believe you have to go over the top to pull these open top pits. So he would just put his load line inside that pit right there and then pull out the sludge.
Okay.
And he was hauling this load to the OPF.
Where?
The OPF, the oil polishing facility,
Okay. Where's that at?
that's on County Road 49.
Where do you park when you pull up on Tuesday?
When I pull up on
He did say that. He did say that. He said, pull out the sludge. No way. The girls were in there. They were This is so insane. This is the first time I've ever heard of this. We need to add this to the calendar, you guys. Let's go ahead and add this to the calendar because, oh my goodness, I have never heard of this before. There was a water truck at Cervi 319 on the following day, the day after the murders, pulling sludge out of both tanks. Both tanks where Bella and Cece were. And see, the thing is, when we look at the autopsy report, we can just look at the description of how the babies were found, and hearing now that there was a water tank mixing the sludge or pulling sludge or adding things to the tank just makes it even more gruesome. And even just believing, even if it was just a scheduled maintenance, knowing that it happened, it's I mean, I don't know what to think about it. So the water trucks remove the sludge? Oh my goodness. That could have been the original plan. All right, let's go ahead and add this because that is crazy. So, let's just go ahead and say that a what do we want to call it? The water truck at Cervi. We'll add water truck at Cervi, and we'll go ahead and just make this a gray color so it can stand out a little bit. But oh my goodness, did he say the time? I don't remember if he said the exact time that it happened. But let's just go ahead. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw in here, and then we'll go ahead and change it once we get the exact time that it happened. But okay. So we went ahead and added that as well. So now we also have that the water truck was at Cervi 319. There was a water truck at Cervi 319 on Tuesday, the 14th, when Troy was out there checking, finding some evidence or whatever he was looking for, right? He's looking for hints and clues. Lucky, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Aw, thank you. Next potluck, my rats are ready to cook chicken. Chicken and carrots. Yes, Lucky. Yeah, Lucky has some ratatouille rats, right? They love to cook. So, yeah, go ahead. Please bring them to the potluck. Please, we all want to meet your rats. They're all so cute. I love their little eyes. They're so adorable. Yes, rocks, I hate even to type this, but I think Bella, that poor baby with her decomposition, is how she may have ended up with the oil in her belly. Yes, Tammy. Yeah. And I get it because I couldn't even really say it out loud. I wanted to say that, and I couldn't even bring myself to say it because, again, everything that we know about this case is so horrific already that just to imagine that those poor babies were sitting in that tank for an entire day on a hot summer afternoon, and then there was sludge being mixed in there. It just it just makes it even harder to talk about. But this is what we're hearing now, and all of this needs to be taken into consideration when we're looking into all of the theories about this case because this is crazy. I had never heard of this before. I can't believe this. This is something oh my goodness, and this is why, right? This is why this rabbit hole doesn't end because everything opens a door to a different rabbit hole, right? We're going down the main one and then there's like, "Oh, there's another one here," and then we go down that way, and then there's another rabbit creating a little hole this way, and it just becomes this tunnel of never-ending rabbit holes. But you're here, listening to rocks take you down this rabbit hole. Yes, those poor babies. Yes, also safeties to get they got anything where they want. Us contractors, workers will need permits to go everywhere, anywhere. An operator will need to come to our work site to sign our permits. Oh, charming. Thank you so much for the piece of information and the knowledge that you're bringing to the chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, so contractors will need permits to go anywhere, and an operator will need to come to our work site to sign our permits and JSA. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, right? That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's how it is when it comes to construction or just any type of work like this, where you have the main company and then you have safety and just other third parties and contractors involved. I still can't comprehend how the girls fit through those holes. I don't either. Yeah, can you imagine the therapy that the people that had to retrieve them had to go through? I mean, lots of people ended up with PTSD. A lot of them, including the leading detective of Frederick Police Department. All right, let's continue.
Tuesday, I went right by him, right over here, and I pulled up right about here on the location.
Okay.
And then he walked over from his pickup before I ever even got out of my truck, and he was right here. And I've signed the JSA right there.
Okay. Did he ask you what you were doing?
Yeah, and I told him I was looking for a crescent wrench.
Okay. But that was bullshit.
Well, I didn't, just because things have been so out of sorts, I wanted to, to go out here to see if I seen anything because I've spoken to the officer too.
Okay. When you remember what the officer's name that you spoke to?
I got a voicemail. And I spoke to him at like 2:04. But, things in my head weren't adding up correctly in my eyes. So I do have a voicemail from him.
Okay, so he says this was at 2:04. So he went out to Cervi 319 and the cops called him while he was at Cervi 319. Is that what he said? And that is when he got the call, which was around 2:04. So now we have the exact time, I believe, right? Or please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Again, this is a live stream, so I can't make those edits, but I can definitely correct myself in real time. Okay, so then it actually happened. It sounds like it happened on the 14th, but at 2 p.m. Right? Is that so? Yeah, so it is. So it's gonna be around 2 p.m. because the cops called him and he has that the voicemail message. And so if that's the case, then the girls had been in there since Monday morning, right? They had been in there since Monday morning all the way until Tuesday at around 2 p.m. And the water truck was already there. So the girls had been in there for at least a little over 24 hours. Those poor babies. Let's continue.
Tuesday. Hudson, Colorado. Okay, here's the voicemail then. I didn't delete it.
At what time?
He called me earlier than the training.
For Troy McCoy, this is Officer Walgie with the Frederick Police Department. I was wondering if you could give me a
Can you
call
replay
back.
that part again? Can you replay that first part again?
Officer
303.
Walgie.
Hello, this message is for Troy McCoy. This is Officer Walgie with the Frederick Police Department. I was wondering if you could give me a call back on my cell. It's 303 500 4073. Again, that's 303 500 4073. I was calling you with regard to we're working on trying to find a missing person. And I was going to ask you, Christopher Watts, I believe that you work with him, gave your name as someone that he was going to meet yesterday in the early morning, possibly would meet, or that you work out at a site where he was going to be working. So, anyway, he gave your name. I was just wanted to talk to you. A couple questions with regard to Chris, and that would be it. So, if you can give me a call again, Officer Walgie, W-A-L-J-E of the Frederick Police Department. If you feel more comfortable,
Yeah, really.
you can certainly call the police department. I'm currently there, currently here, I should say, and I can talk to you at the office if you feel more comfortable calling that number. But again, my cell is 303 500 4073 in case I have to leave. Thank you. Good night.
All right, thanks.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, so Chris gave that detective Troy's name. And then he said that that Chris had told him that he was supposed to meet with Troy that morning at Cervi 319, and so that's why he was calling him. Again, right? The fact that Chris is telling the detectives, "Oh, call my friend Troy. Call him. We were supposed to meet up there together, and he has my back," right? And here is Troy on the following day, on August the 14th, the next day, out there just doing his own investigative work. And now I understand, right? Now we see where these theories come from. And a lot of these theories, right, they don't come just out of thin air. You know, many of these theories, they don't just, people don't just invent them just out of thin air. You know, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. I'm not saying that they don't. Hello, hello. Hi, Kelly. Sometimes they do. I'm not saying that they don't, but the way that we are seeing this kind of, unravel, it makes sense. The explosion theory and the idea that other people were involved, I see why. I see why these theories are out there. It's because of how strange this interview is. You know, Again, I don't think that the guy is all that involved or that he was, plotting to murder an entire family, right? But it does seem very strange that everything, it's also coincidental. And if you believe in coincidences, right, and they do happen, it's just too much. It's too coincidental for this to be an accident. And now we see, please, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it does sound like he said that it was actually at 2 p.m. So he received the phone call at 2 p.m. while he was out at Cervi 319 that day. So let's go ahead and change the time to 2 p.m. And then just let's see what was happening around that time. And that way we can see what was going on with Chris at the same time that there was a water truck apparently moving around the sludge where the girls were. That is, again, I can't believe that we are listening to this because I've never even heard of this before. Okay, so when we look at the calendar here, so we have NK calls her mom, right? And then at 2 p.m., Troy McCoy is talking to the police. And Chris Watts is telling people that he's going to do interviews, right? So all of this is happening as Chris is getting ready to do interviews. He's letting Nicole Kessinger know, hey, I'm getting ready to do interviews. But the interesting thing, right? The interesting thing about the 14th is this other guy, Chris Getman. Chris Getman, Nicole Kessinger, wakes up on August the 14th and she calls Chris Getman first thing in the morning at 8:44 a.m. And as we know, that phone call also popped up in Nicole Kessinger's phone logs on the day of the murders, right? Right here. Now, Chris Getman's job, as we know, he is he's a line maintenance person, right, with C&J Energy at the time. Could that be connected? Is there maybe some type of connection between what Nicole Kessinger is doing with this said other Chris, right? Maybe, who knows, maybe asking for advice, maybe wanting to know more about how to mix things up. Again, I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm looking at the evidence and the footage like, we all are. And what do we think? I mean, again, this is all, we're just brainstorming here. These are all just ideas I'm throwing out there, but it does seem very, very strange and way too coincidental for that to be an accident. Really? The water tanks were scheduled exactly the day after the girls were in the tanks? And let's remember, Chris always says that if he hadn't gone with Nicole Kessinger to the Lazy Dog, things would have been different. It does seem that there was a very specific, right? It had to be done on August 13th. Everything surrounding this case seems to be pushing to having the family completely gone by August 13th. It's like the date was approaching. It's almost like they had a deadline, and it does seem like it makes sense now, doesn't it? The deadline was August 13th because on the next day, they were going to be moving stuff around. And then weeks, maybe even months later, they were going to decommission the place. Cervi 319 was scheduled to be decommissioned, and they knew about it. So all of this seems like they were in a rush to have this done by August 14th. There was a deadline. And now it's starting to make sense why they needed to be in those tanks and disposed of before the water tanks showed up. That is crazy. Oh my goodness. This is deeper. Oh my God. This is deeper than anything I ever knew. Oh my God. What do you guys think? Oh my goodness. Yeah, 1000% a deadline. This is why I think NK was involved being the safety monitor. Exactly. Exactly. There are way too many things here, right? She was a safety monitor. She knew exactly what to do out there, how to manage the tank levels, all of it, right? And then she's getting in touch with other people that know more about the physical side, right? The maintenance side of the field. She knows safety. Chris is out there doing the same thing that the other Chris is doing, right? Troy knows more things about this as well. All of it way too coincidental. And now we have a water truck show up. No, no, no. This was on the books. This was on the books. All of this from the very beginning, in my opinion, was on the books that family, right, according to Chris and any other person that was involved, right, allegedly Nicole Kessinger, they had to be gone and out of the picture before Cervi was decommissioned, before the water tank was out there. And that is why it happened on August 13th. That is insane. Again, this is just my opinion, but this is crazy. Let's continue.
Did you know that the water guy was going to be out there?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, the water guy was out there. Well, Cody Roberts told me that he was going to have the load bottomed out at Cervi. And then he also told me that the load line was leaking on the tank.
Okay.
Because that load line is leaking on the tank that was almost full.
That
out
was
there.
on.
Did he just say he's going to have the load bottomed out? Cody Roberts told him that they were going to have the load bottomed out. The load bottomed out. What in the world? Let's go ahead and look up what the load bottomed out means for an oil tank. What does that mean? Oh, guys. No way. No way. Can you guys see this okay? Do I need to make this a little bigger? Load bottoms out or tank bottoms in the oil industry generally refers to the residual sludge, sediment, and water that settles at the bottom, at the base of an oil tank, below the main outlet, which is often unusable and unsaleable as high quality fuel. Composition. They are a mix of water, rust, heavy hydrocarbon sludge, and sediment. Pulling bottoms. This refers to the process of removing the sludge or water, often using a vacuum truck, to clear the bottom 1 to 2 inches of the tank. A process sometimes called basic sediment and water draws. Operational definition. In leasing, it is specifically defined as the volume of the tank that lies below the outlet, meaning it is not part of the sellable transferred product. Removable disposal. When tank bottoms become too high, they must be pulled, removed, because they reduce the storage capacity for clean oil and can cause issues with quality if left to build up. Safety. Okay, let's continue reading into this because this is getting interesting. So they send out the tanks to clean out the sludge and the sediments when it gets too heavy. Did it let somebody know, or did it start sending signals, right, to whoever, right, the system or whatever, that it was heavy because there were bodies in there? No reason for all that when these tanks were not in usage. What in the world? Think about oil spills and the animals covered in sludge. That is what the girls looked like. Yes, sounds like something a safety officer would be in charge of. Exactly, exactly. What time was Nicole Kessinger at work that day? Was she at work that day? Hold on. Oh my God. You guys, I was not expecting to go down this. I really wasn't. Oh my God. I wanted to hear what else Troy was saying about how Chris was acting, but oh my God, this is sending us down something deeper. What time did Nicole Kessinger? Okay, so let's just go ahead and look at this. Nicole Kessinger got to work. And again, we don't know for sure, but it looks like she was already at work by 2:28, the day of the murders, which is, now she's getting incoming calls from that Chris Getman person. But the next day, right? The next day, we don't really have information on where she was, but we can see that, she's Googling Ronnie, she's Googling Saratoga that morning. And then there are calls, bunch of calls, and then Nicole Kessinger then calls Chris Getman again in the morning. And then we don't know, right? We don't know what the rest of her activity really looks like. We can go ahead and see her phone logs to see if there are any calls from Platteville. All right, right here we see, if you guys can see that, can you guys see that? Maybe not, huh? Is it too tiny? Just squint. All right, here, let's go ahead and zoom. All right. So here, oh man, maybe I zoomed too much. Here, let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay. So we have some calls from Platteville here at 6 in the morning. Look at that. 6 in the morning. She's in Platteville. What is Nicole Kessinger doing in Platteville at 6 in the morning? Platteville, that's where Anadarko is located. And she's up at 6 in the morning. Is she at work already? Well, that's interesting because she was late to work the day prior, but it seems that she is there early on the following day. She's there early by 7 a.m. on August the 14th. Look at this. There is another call that she makes, right? And this is the call to Chris Getman. She made that call from Platteville, Colorado. And that call was 2 minutes long to the Chris Getman character. And then the following call is almost at 1 p.m. There's nothing between 8:44 up until almost 1 p.m. when she is in Henderson, Colorado. And then she's in Thornton. So look at that. She wasn't home she wasn't at work for the rest of the day. So at 1 p.m., she was back in Henderson and then she was home. Look, Thornton, right? This is all of the following day, right? So this is all August the 15th. So really the only Platteville that we see on the 14th is from 6:50 a.m. and 8:44 a.m. So we can definitely assume that Nicole Kessinger was at work the following morning at 6:50 a.m. Wow, she deserves Employee of the Month, doesn't she? She deserves an award. Look at her, so committed. She was there early. She's like, you know what? I deserve my reward. I deserve to give myself 15 gift cards to myself because I got here early today. Yeah. Oh, also, I forgot. I need to make that call to get that truck out, right? It's showing me here that the tank is full. Is that what happened? This is crazy. She wanted to hear what's going on in the office. Why wasn't anyone confirmed? Why hasn't anyone confirmed NK was at work? Because barely anyone knows anyone was interviewed. Exactly. This is a mess. Who cares if he confessed? Guilty people could be walking free. This is why we're here. Exactly. Who cares that he confessed? If there are more people involved, then a confession means nothing. Because if more people were involved, that means that more people need to be in prison. This is so crazy. Sludge pumps. The pump was normally some strong rotor elements to grind down bigger material. The more I learn about NK, the more angry I get. Yes, it is a scandal how they treated her as a victim. Yeah. What else? What do we, I mean, what happens to the sludge when it's removed? Did they actually go ahead with the removal? It looks like they did. Yeah, it looks like they went through with the full removal because the truck was already there removing sludge. Oh my God. Does that mean that the truck took parts of DNA? This whole entire crime and the whole case was so sloppy. It was not fully investigated. I mean, look at this. Did they ever even check the truck? Ugh, this is overwhelming. I feel overwhelmed. Let's continue.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, the water guy was out there. Well, Cody Roberts told me that he was going to have the load bottomed out at Cervi. And then he also told me that the load line was leaking on the tank.
Okay.
Because that load line is leaking on the tank that was almost full.
That was on Tuesday, or was that another day?
I think it was on Tuesday. And he
Okay.
called me and told me that they were going to have that.
Cody Roberts. So Cody Roberts told him. Huh. Do we know? Does Cody Roberts talk about Nicole Kessinger at all? I don't remember him talking about Nicole Kessinger. Dragon Onion 666, thank you so much. Aw, oh wait, why didn't it let me? Oh, there we go. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate the $10. Late again, but I'm here. Thanks, Rox. Aw, thank you. Let's celebrate, 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 celebrate. You guys, I'm crazy. I'm just a crazy person. You guys are just listening to a crazy person yap all day. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, did Chris Getman work for the water tank company? He didn't. He worked for C&J Energy as a line. I always forget the actual title of his role there, but he was. I don't want to say something that is false. So let's go ahead and look him up again. Yeah, I want to make sure every time I say something that it's as factual as I know. Okay, here we go. Wireline operator. He was a water line operator. Here it is. July 2nd, 2018 through August 19, 2020. Wireline operator. So a water line operator, if we go ahead and Google what a wireline operator does in the oil field. And I should probably write this down. I know we talk about him a lot here lately because he's coming up a lot. So he's a wireline operator. And here we go. Let's look at the description. What is the job description of a waterline operator? Waterline operators in the oil field operate specialized armor cables to lower tools into wells for data logging, perforating, and plug setting. This high-paying, labor-intensive role typically requires a CDL, okay? Now look at that, earning over $100K annually. Key responsibilities: rigging up or rigging down, assembly and disassembly, pressure control equipment and tools on the wellhead. Tool operation: running tools to perform logging, measuring well conditions, or intervention, setting plugs, perforating, maintenance, cleaning and performing preventative maintenance on downhole tools and surface equipment. What do we think? What do we think? This is okay. Yeah. So there's also measuring of well conditions. Okay. So a wireline operator is also some type of like safety person, right? There's also some safety involved in this when it comes to the wireline operator. And Nicole Kessinger being the safety person and having knowledge and access to a lot of this stuff, she might have needed to call somebody else to give her advice. Hey, do you think I should call a truck to move this sludge? Because it's telling me it's a little heavy. It's telling me that there's a lot of sediment in there. All of a sudden, there was no sediment there before August the 13th. And then all of a sudden, all of the sediment is there now. Could that be a possibility? Again, I'm just brainstorming here, right? Thinking out loud. But we are watching this together and we are listening to Troy McCoy talking about a truck being there. It was scheduled because there was a lot of sediment in the tanks. None of this is a coincidence, guys. You can't convince me that this is a coincidence. Yeah, she Googled Ronnie Watts and Chris Watts' home address. Like, oh no, there's sudden pressure changes in my tanks. Yeah, exactly, Emily. Huh, interesting. I got here late yesterday. I was talking to my spiritual guru. Yeah, he told me that I can't play Twister anymore for like another 3 weeks. So then I just got to work early today because I'm such a good employee. Is that what it is? Yeah, not a coincidence. I don't think so either. I don't think so. Let's continue.
It bottomed out. And I think the water truck told me that he got like 15 or 20 barrels of oil out of there, or not oil, but water, and then he pulled the rest of the oil and stuff, BS&W that was on top of the tank.
So is it normal for you to sign this? If you show up on site, when they're on site, they
Yes,
want you
you
to
have
sign
to
that?
sign that.
You have to?
JSA. Yes, sir.
Okay.
20 barrels? 20 barrels? They pulled out 20 barrels of sludge and water. Okay, again, I don't work in the oil field. If anybody in the chat has any information, please, we need you. We need you. Give us some info. What is going on here? Would you as a I don't know, the person, the maintenance person that showed up to remove the sludge, would you maybe notice something weird, something different as you're pulling the sludge, that something is off? Or is it normal? Because 20 barrels of sludge while there were two bodies in there and no one noticed, I think is again, I don't know, right? I don't know. I've never worked in the oil field. But I would assume that if you're connecting a hose to something and you're pulling sludge, that you would probably know that something is weird. Something is different with these tanks. Why is it either pulling too hard or not pulling enough, right? Again, I don't know. I'm just making assumptions here. What do we think? What do we think? From the pictures, I would assume that at least 30,000 liters, and you do not do this every day. Yeah, everything I know about the oil fields is from landmen. They say 30 gallons can create a problem. Okay. How could the police not put this together? Exactly. Well, they didn't, because Chris is like, I didn't. And then DA Rourke is like, okay, well, my job is done. Re-election next year is gonna be so easy. I just won this case and I didn't have to do anything. Greasing palms or other appendages. So heartless, these two. Sediment. The girls were reduced to sediment. Yeah, just Josie. Yes. This is why this is so heartbreaking and so difficult to listen to. Because they're talking about pulling sludge and sediment. Well, there are two little baby girls lying at the bottom of those tanks. And they're talking about pulling sludge and sediment. And again, where's the investigation into this? Where is it? If they're pulling sludge into these trucks, then that means that they also pulled the girl's DNA into these trucks. My comment disappeared. Oh no. What happened? Okay, let's see. DA NK wasn't there. Hello, conspiracy does not mean you have to be present. Yes, exactly. This isn't a witch hunt, says DA Rourke, as he also says, yeah, her deleting all of her text messages really impeded our investigation. Yeah, because of her, we don't have all the answers. But also, this is not a witch hunt. That sounds strange. Yeah. Like the ones they use for the porta potties when they drain them. There is a grate for when they are unloading the truck. Huh. Hey, Rox, do we know if Nico's body was found since he was expelled from Shanann? Yes, he was. He was found. He was found in the same gravesite. Eric Isa, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Aw, thank you guys. Thank you. Why doesn't it let me? There we go. It never lets me like it or love it. It always just goes away. Thank you so much. $5 just to hear you sing and celebrate again. Thank you. All right, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Celebrate. Celebrate the super chat. Celebrate. You just like to hear my crazy ADHD moments. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. She was forthcoming for the part that he said. Yes, McReilly, I agree. I didn't want to be bothered. That disgusted me too. Yes. And so, yeah, again, this is also difficult. It's difficult to process because it's my first time listening to it, and now there is a lot more that we need to look into, right? So, a lot more information on actual Cervi itself, and a little bit of education on how this works, right? Because in order to really understand what is happening at Cervi and what Troy is explaining, we also have to have some knowledge on what he's explaining. And so a lot of research comes my way, you guys, a lot of research. And I really do appreciate each and every single one of you for helping me with the research and sending everything my way. That way we can discuss this together and yeah, and hopefully help find the answers to this case that we all so desperately want. Oh, thank you so much, guys. I love you all so much. Oh, thank you. He pissed me right off with the witch hunt. Yeah, do your job and stop giving plea deals. Exactly. All right. Let's continue. This is getting really, really bad. And bad because it's the way that he's explaining it again, knowing that there were two girls in those tanks, Bella and Cece, and this is what was happening and they didn't even know.
Okay. So he's, so you pull up around here,
Yeah.
or yeah, approximately here.
Yeah.
He comes over before you're even out of your car. Or
Yeah,
out
before I
your
even
truck.
get out of my pickup.
Okay. Do you ever get out of your pickup?
Yes.
Okay. Do you walk around, take a
No,
look?
I mean, whenever I get out of the pickup to talk to him,
Okay.
because he's walking up and he's right here by my truck, so I get out, and everything and talk with him. And then he told me, that he's here to pull a load and everything like that. And I need to sign his JSA, and the screen is scratched to hell on that JSA.
I'm sure it
You
is.
couldn't read nothing if you wanted to. So I input my name, and then I asked him, I said, where do I sign, sir? So I handed it back to him. He handed it back to me after he got me to the screen where I needed to sign, and then I signed my name.
All right. Then, so does he leave? Or I'm sorry, go back to his truck?
Yes, sir. He
Okay.
went back to his truck, and then
What do you do?
I get back in my truck because then I looked at the clock, and it's already freaking like 2:04 around that time period. So I'm going to go ahead and get back in my truck, and I just leave location.
Okay. So you weren't there for what, 5-10 minutes at
I
most?
wasn't there. No, sir. I wasn't there very long at all.
Okay.
And the gentleman told me that if he found my crescent wrench, that he would lay it up on, the battery or the tank or the separator for me.
Okay.
So.
All right. Did you have a chance to look out in this direction at all?
No, sir, I
He
didn't.
was just on you that quick.
Yeah, he was just right there next to me. So
Okay.
I was like, okay, and that's good too because they're supposed to be able to approach people.
Mhm.
As soon as they see somebody pull up on location, they will approach you.
Okay.
They're supposed to. That's what they're supposed to do. So I wasn't shocked to see him or nothing like that, but he was
Yeah.
just right there at the pickup. So I signed the JSA, and because in my heart of hearts, I didn't want to believe that Chris had done anything. I've been his friend for 2.5 years. But with Shanann not getting back to anybody, even like calling her parents and just being like, hey, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm safe and sound. Bella and the kids are with me. We're good. I was like, that was the location that he was at that morning. So that's why I went out there.
Okay.
Because, everybody's looking for clues and tips, anything that can help. And I honestly just want to help.
And
Really do.
something's needling you about this.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, I didn't say it in our first interview, but the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
The clothes, it was just different to me. And then whenever I told you about how he walked by the back of his truck, it was odd. And then now all of a sudden I find out, the next day that his girls are gone and there's a missing persons report and everything for him and nobody's heard nothing from him. I'm a father. If my wife was gone and everything like that, I'd be freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's just like, hey guys, I gotta go. It wasn't like necessarily like a panic whenever he took
There's
off
no
that day.
urgency to it.
But he's like, hey, I just got to go. And that's all he said. Because he rolled down his window and he pulled up to Chad McNeil's pickup that day. And he's like, hey, guys, I got to go. Something's not right at home. And then he drove off.
How did he drive?
And he just pulled away normal. It wasn't like he was in a fire rush,
Mm-hmm.
If I had my friends call me and tell me, or my wife's friends, that my wife was missing and my 4 kids weren't at home, I'd be freaking out, honestly.
Pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Why did you park there?
Because that's where I seen him parked.
Okay. And when the oil and water guy approached you, why didn't you just keep looking around like you
Well,
originally intended?
after he approached me and everything, because I was looking at the clock, because I need to be off somewhere close to the time frame, like 2:30ish and stuff like that,
Okay.
so I can actually get home because I live in Greeley,
Mhm.
and from Greeley to Cervi is a heck of a long drive, you know. And my
Yeah,
wife
it's ways.
babysat.
Okay, so it definitely was at 2 p.m. then, because he said he needed to get off by 2:30 to get back home to Greeley. Um, yeah, did we listen to how he explained when he saw Chris Watts drive off that morning? Zero concern, zero concern. He's like, oh my God, so inconvenient. I love working. I have to go home and see my family. I guess they're missing. Right? That's kind of what he's explaining it, because a family is missing, and it sounds like Chris wasn't even really all that worried. Pedal to the metal? No, it wasn't pedal to the metal. It was more like a small pinky toe barely pushing on the pedal. That's how it was. And Troy is explaining it as if, like if it was his family, he would be booking it out of there. But Chris wasn't, because as we know, he wasn't. He was mostly worried that he was going to show up and the police were going to be at his door, and he had to explain to everybody why his family is missing. Oh no. Darn it. I'm going to have to get there and explain to everyone why my family is missing. But yeah, I mean, as we know, let's go ahead and pull up the calendar, right? Here it is. Everything in the blue is what was happening at Cervi. So he took off, he left after he received the Vivint alert at 2:17 p.m. from Nicole Atkinson. That is when he decides to leave. After he took the photo of the prairie, and after he had already called Aspen, he had already searched Groupon, he already searched the battery lyrics, he had already called Weston Snowmass, right? He had already staged all of the calls, and then he is told to show up, right? To go back home because his family is missing. And here Troy is explaining it exactly as we see Chris, with zero care, zero concern that his family is missing. He shows up, he shakes the hand of a police officer. He looks at Nicole Atkinson with such resentment and disdain, and he's just like, ugh, why am I here?
Scott, how you doing?
How's it going?
So this is the only vehicle she would have?
Only one that, yeah.
She would drive? Okay.
Why car drove away from here at 1:48 in the morning?
That's me.
Is that you at
Yeah.
1:48?
The neighbors went and checked his cameras and they said that a white car drove away at 1. It was me though. That was me. I dropped her off.
That was the last action on my camera.
Okay. That's throughout the whole day, or?
Besides Chris leaving.
Well, yeah. I just listened.
Yep, exactly, right? We see how Chris is acting, and as we know, everything that Troy is explaining actually matches what happened. Chris gave no care in the world. He didn't actually care. Zero concern about the family, more worried about him and what he had to hide as soon as he got home, making sure that he got to the Lexus and that he took whatever he got from the Lexus. He looks at it, he takes something out and he looks at it, and then runs inside the house and locks himself inside for almost 2 minutes, and then comes out and lets everybody in. It does match what Troy is saying, but it also does sound like this entire thing was pre-planned. The leak, the fire stick, Chris getting out there a day before, maybe digging the hole a few days prior, the fact that the water truck then showed up the following day to clean up the sludge, all of it, and how there seemed to be a very strong deadline on when they had to be murdered. All of it points to there was a deadline. All of it points to they had to be at Cervi 319 by that date because Cervi was going to be decommissioned. And again, there is that explosion theory, but even with all of this, you guys let me know. To me, I still don't really see an explosion theory. But what I do kind of see here is that maybe other people were involved believing it might have been something else, when in reality, it was a family annihilation. Does that make sense? And again, this is just me. I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm just, this is just my opinion and speculation. But if there was supposed to be an explosion, it sounds like these people might have been in on that, but they didn't know that it wasn't that. It was actually this. But they might have believed that they were going to get something, right? Maybe some compensation from an explosion, when in reality, all of it was based around getting rid of a family so that two people can start a life together. So, if anything, that's probably what we're seeing here. And again, zero evidence, but we're just saying this based on what we're listening, and again, what all of the coincidences show us, right? But you guys let me know what you think. What do you guys think? Ritual sacrifice at the core. The leak and the full tanks. Yeah, we need to get those things together. Yeah. Maybe he planned the burn the sheets or his clothes. I think he ran upstairs and planted the phone. I actually managed Nicole right after this all broke. And we had a conversation. She was so sweet to even answer my messages. Oh, wow. I just let her know I supported her. Oh, Macker, that is so sweet. Yeah, definitely pre-planned. It boggles my mind how people cannot even care a little like Chris Watts and NK just removed them from life. I'm going to listen again to Troy's interview. Yeah, because we have to. I mean, the entire interview is strange. There's a lot of things that he says in there that some are contradicting and some I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. Is the phone in the Lexus that is sloppy too? Yeah, that's the phone. Yep. And they need to really look into the mechanics and maintenance of the oil tanks to understand this fully. Exactly. Exactly. There's a lot of things that we still have to understand to fully understand what was happening that morning and the following morning, because as we see, a lot of things were happening at Cervi the following day, and we have really only focused on Chris and Nicole and what they were doing without really looking into what was happening at Cervi, which again, very, very important. We cannot leave out what the coworkers were thinking was going on at Cervi that day. Let's continue.
That's and everything else. So I want to get home whenever it's close to time because I'm not trying to milk the clock, get any extra overtime or anything like that.
Right.
So after he approached me, we talked for, just a couple minutes and everything like that. He told me that if he found my crest branch that he'd put in a tank battery for me. And that was it. I got right back in my pickup. I drove around slowly the location, drove around the edge of the location right here. I just drove around right here,
Okay.
and then just went ahead and took off.
Okay. Why didn't you tell him the truth?
Because I didn't want to tell him that I was searching for any kind of suspicious things on location.
What would have been wrong with that, though, if you had just said that?
Well, I know, but I mean, at the time, whenever I was approached, that's what I said, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not here to lie to you guys, I'm upfront and honest about it. Obviously, you guys knew I was there, and I've got no problem telling you exactly why I was on location. So,
talk to your
All right, looking through the comments, yes, charming Demi. Charming. Yeah, you seem to have a lot of knowledge about this. And yes, so reading the comment here, it says, charming Demi, I believe Troy was suspicious because it was really weird for someone to get to the plants and go straight to work. That would need to be a really hot job for that to happen. Completely agree. I totally agree. And, right, everyone else said it was really weird that Chris also just went straight out to Survey 319 without going to the office first. I mean, he was just a field coordinator. What was he doing out there by himself? And here we are. Troy is saying the same thing. He went out without permission. No one sent him out there. And he is not a supervisor of any sort, right? He is not the top dog for him to just be able to just be on his own program. I totally yes, I get that. Yeah, thank you so much, Charming. Yeah, for him to go straight there in the AM, most people start to work after 7:30, even though we will have to be there at 6. Yep, exactly. This is all safety, right? I've said this before, and I know it's very different. It's not like the military, but even in the military, if you're going out somewhere, there is a buddy system. You always have to have a buddy because something might happen and you need accountability of your people at all times. So it is so weird that Troy apparently is just taking it upon himself to just, write his own program. I'm like, yeah, I'm the boss today. I don't need to get this approved. I'm just going to go out there by myself. Yeah. You just, act like the job that you want to have. I want to be a detective. So I'm just going to go out there and just do my own detective work. Yeah. If you believe hard enough, you're gonna manifest it, right? So he's just like, I really want to be a detective, so let me go out there and manifest it. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows? But it is very weird that he went out there without permission. Yes. And there's another comment here. Charming. Definitely he dug the hole before the 13th. Yes. Yeah, and this is why, right? This is why we believe that the hole was dug before that time because there's just way too much going on that morning. And now we're hearing that there were tanks and stuff going on. This is a timeline, right? Or sorry, a deadline. Things have to go perfectly before this deadline. And as we see, everything fell apart. How could it not? This was such a complex plan, right? This was a huge plan that they were planning on, I don't know, making it happen. And it didn't. It fell apart the moment that Shanann's flight got delayed. That is when everything just fell apart because you can only imagine, right? They're scrambling. They're like, everything has to be done perfectly, Chris. Okay. Everything. She has to be, as soon as you walk in, you grab her. And that didn't happen. And so, what started to happen, in my opinion, speculation, is that once they saw that the first domino fell, everything else started to fall. It was like a domino effect, and it affected them psychologically and emotionally, and that is why they weren't able to gather themselves, and everything just fell apart for them. Thank God, right? Good thing it fell apart. Unfortunately, they weren't caught before it happened. So gross. What a disgusting crime this was. The amount of planning that went into this, the calculation. It is so again, it is so absurd that the police just decided to drop all of this evidence. All of this. This is months and months of work to be able to put all of this together. And the thing is that the police department, they have the resources, they have the money, they have the people, and they didn't even do the work. Chris Watts confessed to murdering his family on August 15th, and he was given a plea deal in November. August, September, October, November. 3 months. 3 months. That's it. The police, they only investigated this for 3 months. People, that's it. We've been doing this for how many months now? How many months have at least me, right? Just how many months have I been on YouTube going down this same rabbit hole? And the police couldn't even shouldn't even say the police. The DA, they're like, you know what? No more resources. I need those resources for my reelection, please. And thank you. Yeah. There's coffee and donuts though. I bought you guys all coffee and donuts on me. On me. Absurd. This is ridiculous. Let's continue.
Wife about this on Monday when you got home?
Well, yeah, because Shanann and Juanita, do the Thrive thing.
Mhm.
Because Juanita's a promoter as well, but she's never even hit her 4K on that. And it just doesn't feel right. For those girls just to disappear and Shanann to disappear, and she's such a public person and everything like that. So the wife was worried about them. She wanted to make sure that they were going to be okay as well.
What was your
Yeah.
conversation about? Tell me, not necessarily about, tell me what was your conversation like? Were you guys, you know, convinced something had happened or just a little bit concerned?
Well, we
Or,
were concerned because, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities if they were having issues, and she wanted to leave, if that was the case, for her to take the girls, because I figured she would, and go ahead and go off to a friend's house, because he told me that he thought Shanann had went to a friend's house that morning. So,
Chris told you that?
yeah, it wasn't nothing out of the norm, like she goes over to Prince's house and stuff all the time. But that's what I told my wife. I was like, well, I don't know if she took off, went to a friend's house, whatever the case. And then later on in the day, we found out the cell phone was still there, and everything, the purse, all that kind of stuff. And then it just didn't start adding up. You never want to think that one of your coworkers would be capable of doing something like that to a person, anything. And then,
So what point do you start to think that Chris has done something?
well, the only part I start to think would be Wednesday, because I drove out to location. I wasn't out there very long on Tuesday. I didn't see anything out of the norm while I was there, but I really didn't look around. I was just got back in my pickup and drove off. And then Wednesday, I didn't text him at all. Nothing. I didn't, try to check on him, anything. And then, okay, then Wednesday would be the day that you guys called me, roughly around 10 o'clock.
Just
or
something
so.
like that, I think it
Yeah,
was.
and then I come back to the office and have a talk with you, Jim.
Were you out at this location ever again after Tuesday?
No, sir, I wasn't. Never again.
Do you know who else?
Okay, so he's saying that he was never out ever again after Tuesday. Okay, but I did want to ask you guys a question just based on what we have heard so far. And again, I just want to gauge where we're at, right? As a group, as a whole, um, regarding this theory around Troy and Cervi 319. So the question is really going to be, so what do we think about the Troy Cervi theory? Do we think that this was a pre-planned explosion, right? So again, we don't have all the facts quite yet. We don't have all the evidence gathered, but do we think that maybe this was supposed to be a plan where a few group of people were going to get this done, make it an explosion and get some money out of this, right? So that's going to be the explosion theory. And this is where Troy was involved in this? Or do we believe that this was, again, a pre-planned murder and that's where he was involved in this, which I personally don't believe. I don't believe that he was involved in a pre-planned murder because I don't think he had anything to get out of it. What was he going to get out of a pre-planned murder? Nothing, right? He wasn't playing Twister with these people. He was like, no, I don't want to get dirty with that bacteria-filled game. Gross, right? So he's like, no, I don't want to do it. Or is it the third option, which he's just completely unaware? He was not involved in any type of, explosion theory. He was not involved in any of the, murder planning. None of it. He is just a innocent bystander, a witness, a coworker that just happened, to want to do his own investigative work. And he really, honestly, truly, he just wanted to know whether or not Chris was involved. So those are going to be the questions, and that is going to be the Troy Cervi theory: pre-planned explosion, the murder, or he was completely unaware. So yeah, you guys let me know. And I'll add the third option. It's going to be, I don't know, because there's all, some people are just like, I don't know. I can't make up my mind. So yeah, let's go ahead and add that poll. Thank you so much, Shelly. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate the super chat. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Thank you so much, Shelly. You're a legend, Rox. Thank you. Aw, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we need a Troy innocent or guilty poll. Yes. Yes. Yeah, you guys let me know. Okay, do we see the poll? Does everybody see the poll? This one's interesting. There's a lot of shift going on. Okay. Completely unaware is winning. And then we have the pre-planned explosion is number 2. Okay. And yeah, I think most people are leaning towards Troy being completely unaware, just an innocent bystander, an innocent coworker. Okay. Oh, now we see the pre-planned explosion, the murder, and I don't know are all equal. But still, most people believe that Troy was completely unaware. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead. We'll leave up the poll for another few minutes. Let's go ahead and continue listening to Troy.
It's been out at that location since
Cody
say
Roberts was out at that location on Tuesday. 'Cause
Tuesday?
He had to do something out there. I think Cody Roberts was out there though.
Do you remember about
Yeah.
what time?
No, sir, I don't. That's just from Cody talking to me, and
Okay.
telling me that he was out on location.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Melissa or Chad or anybody like that? Did they ever go back to 319?
Well, I think Melissa would have been back out there because Melissa's been chatting with Cody.
Okay.
Because Cody starts automation cross training next week.
Okay.
So that's the whole reason why Melissa was out there anyway.
Right.
Because she's not the normal operator. She's just a trainee that just got signed off on her SOPs, standard operating procedures.
Mhm.
And then now we're feeling comfortable enough to let her run a route and see how she does.
Okay.
So that just happened to be the particular route which she drew.
Okay. Is there any reason for anybody to
This might not even be related, but I do remember Nicole Kessinger bringing up standard operating procedures and what was the other thing? The order of operations. Remember that? And here, Troy is explaining that Melissa was out there and that she did her SOPs, right? Because she was just a trainee or a trainer. And so that is what she was doing out there. And also because Cody also was going to start doing some training for something else. And so I find it interesting. I do find it interesting that Nicole Kessinger used a lot of these training words, right? A lot of these safety words that would be used at the workplace to describe a murder, a quadruple murder. She was describing a quadruple murder using work jargon, workplace safety jargon. Wow. And now she's talking, she was talking about uh the operating procedures and the what is it? The order of operations, which I think is the most important one. It was the order of operations, especially when we believe that there was a plan that they were supposed to follow and there is a timeline, and now we believe that there was even a deadline. It does make sense that she would use the term order of operations because the order of operations didn't go quite as they wanted to. It didn't go quite as planned. And so that threw off all of the standard operating procedures. Wow. She is so OSHA trained. She is so good at her job that even describing little things, like missing people, she makes sure that she uses all of her safety jargon. Oh, Kevin, I'm so good at my job. What do you need? Oh, really? Yeah, well, the standard operating procedures did say that I should delete all of the text messages. Yeah, because the order of operations on my phone stated that I'm guilty or something like that. um, thank you so much. Oh my God. Boops. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Aw, thank you. Ask AI about the investigation an oil explosion brings. Yes, ask AI about the oil investigation and what an oil explosion would bring. Yeah, thanks, Boops. Yes, I would love to see what ChatGPT has to say about that. Yeah, let's go ahead and ask it. Let's go ahead and ask. Hey, Chat, tell me. What do you think? I do ask my cats, and all of them agree, or at least Gia. She agrees with most of my theories. Elliot is kind of on the fence. Mr. Butters, he does not care. He's like, "Where's the sunlight?" But when I ask ChatGPT, I do have to correct it sometimes. So that's why I say sometimes I don't really trust ChatGPT or any AI because I have to correct it. I mean, again, we know we've been around this case for years, so we know a lot of the ins and outs of this case. And so when I have to correct chat, I'm like, dude, no. That was not Nicole Atkinson that said that, that was Cassie, right? So we're having to correct it, and so sometimes I just don't trust it fully, but yeah. Yeah, Gia knows stuff, exactly, Tommy's girl. Alright, let's continue, and, at the same time, I'll be pulling up ChatGPT as well, just to see what they say.
You drive out here in the weeds. Have
No, sir. There would
grass
be
or
no
anything.
reason at all for anybody to do that.
Is that permitted? You guys get
No,
busted for that?
No, yeah, you, like, whenever you're out of Cervi Ranch, if you read that sign, it's posted
Mhm.
by that gate.
Oh, yeah, it's got the
You
rules
stay
on
on the
it.
land,
Yeah.
ranch
Yeah,
road.
that's right.
You don't wanna be caught outside of those ranch, on, on the leash roads that
Mhm.
are out there, because you will get your butt ripped.
Yeah.
I mean, most of our landowners that we have are like that.
Yeah, sure.
Even Mr. Batting is that way.
Anything else that we haven't talked about regarding any of this stuff that you can think of that we need to cover? Even if you think it's not related or it's frivolous or anything else you can think of, suspicions, just rumors, anything else you can think of.
Right. Well, I'm trying to go through my head on everything that I could have said to him that day. I mean, with all this stuff that's gone on,
Mhm.
sometimes it's hard to remember, but I do. Another thing, that morning, he told me they were having issues and everything like that, but
This is Monday morning.
yes, yeah, he said, yeah, we're having some issues and everything, and he's like, well, her wedding ring was laying on the counter. That's what he told me. That the wedding ring was on the counter, and I was like, why would she leave her wedding ring on the counter? He's like, well, I guess that she's just through with me. I don't know, But he sounded hopeful that they could work things out, So that didn't, necessarily bother me at all. He's told me that the wedding ring was laying on the counter.
Counter where, do you say?
No, I don't know if it was a kitchen counter, sir, or their dining room table, because they're right there next to each other.
Yeah, so this is Chris telling his friends already, right? He's trying to make it seem like Shanann left. That was the whole story. That is what he's trying to get Troy McCoy to believe here. He told her that she left her ring on the counter, which of course was bullshit. We all know that that's not true. We even watched the video itself, right? We see where Chris goes showing the ring to Nicole Atkinson, right? He even has it on. I don't have the ring anymore, but here there's a rock. He's going like this. The ring. The ring. And he's making that stupid face that he always makes, right? Where he's trying to hold in his smile and his duper's delight. And now he's telling his friend, Troy McCoy, the same thing. Because he's trying to make it seem, he's trying to get the plan, right? Plan A, which was trying to make it seem like she left. He's trying to still get that original story to be believed. Even though the entire plan already fell apart, Chris is still desperately holding on to plan A. Please, please, please believe that she left me. Her ring was here. Oh my God, but I was trying to work it out with her, right? This is what Troy is telling us. And as we know, BS, all of it is bullshit. All of it. Look at how stupid he is. Oh my God. He's trying to hold back his laughter so much. You know that's what he's doing. He's like, the ring. It's because he can't hold it back. God, he's so terrible. I mean, look at how he's holding it. Who holds it like this? If you think your wife just left you and took the kids, why are you holding the ring like this? But yeah, he's holding it like this. That's such an expensive ring, and he got it for his wife, and it means something to her, and he's holding it like he's like, "Oh, I guess she left me." It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It's on the nightstand next to her brother's bed.
Is it off when she was awake?
She takes off her clothes and hair.
What an absolute moron. Oh my goodness. You can tell the whole time he wanted a reaction from Nicole Atkinson. And when he didn't get it, he stood around like an idiot. Oh, so you don't believe the lie I just told you? You don't believe that this is her ring and she left it on the counter? Okay. Okay, let me go back to the room. And then he walks away. He doesn't even know how to act. He's so awkward because he knows he's lying. And yeah, Nicole Kessinger just told him to pawn the ring the night before. But yeah, this is what he's saying, right? This is what Troy McCoy is saying. And right now we just watched Chris show the ring. So we know, again, lie. It is all a lie. Chris was always trying to make it seem like plan A was really what happened here, even though the plan had already fallen through. Let's look at the poll. Where's the poll at? 51%. Okay, so 51% still think that Troy was completely unaware about the plan on August the 13th. 23% believe that it was a pre-planned explosion. Okay, so those are the top two right now. And I don't know. And then a pre-planned red rum, right? I put red rum. So yeah, I don't think so the majority of us still believe that he was completely unaware. Okay. So I did ask ChatGPT just, just to see, why is it that this theory persists, and just to get some ideas out there. So I did ask it, what do you think about the explosion theory at 319? And it told me, I think the explosion theory around Survey 319 is one of the more misunderstood parts of the case, because people often combine three separate ideas into one: a possible oil explosion risk, a possible plan to destroy evidence, speculation that Chris Watts intended a staged industrial accident. Those are related, but not the same thing. From what is publicly known, there is no hard evidence that an actual explosion was imminent or that investigators believe a detonation attempt was actively underway. But there are reasons people keep revisiting the theory. So let's see what it says. Here is why it persists. Cervi 319 was an isolated oil site with volatile hydrocarbons. Watts knew the site intimately through work. He reportedly knew maintenance schedules and operational details. The bodies were placed in separate tanks rather than together. Oil and chemical could accelerate decomposition and obscure evidence. A lot of people interpret that as suggesting planning beyond simple concealment. Some theorists argue that he may have intended a fire, a leak, a pressure incident, or some kind of accidental looking industrial event later on. Let's continue. Technically, oil infrastructure can explode under certain conditions involving vapor, buildup in pressure, and ignition sources. But there are problems with this theory too. So let's look at the problems. Let's see what the theories, or the problems with the theory and the logic is. So the biggest issue is that Watts's actual behavior that morning doesn't really match someone executing a sophisticated industrial sabotage plan. He parked his GPS tracked work truck at the site. Coworkers knew he was assigned there. He left a shallow grave. He left a bedsheet evidence. He did everything in a very compressed timeline before coworkers arrived. If he truly intended a catastrophic explosion, he would have been risking destroying Anadarko property, killing coworkers, triggering a massive federal state investigation, and likely dying himself if nearby. You know, this does make sense, really. When Chris Watts talked about this very specific thing, he's such a kind and gentle soul. No, he isn't. He's not. He's a monster. But he wanted to portray himself as such a thoughtful human being. He said he thought about blowing up the sites, but he didn't because he thought about the bystanders. Yeah, he didn't want to hurt anybody around. Oh, I don't want to hurt my coworkers. I just want to kill my children and my wife, but not my coworkers. Oh, they did nothing wrong. Oh, what an angel. Piece of shit. No, of course not. And so that is what he was saying, right? He's saying, oh, I didn't want to hurt anybody else. And now that we're reading this, it does make sense. Chris would have likely ended up harming himself because of how stupid he is. And it does sound like there's definitely, he didn't have the knowledge or the intellect to be able to do all of this without blowing himself up as well. Let's continue with what ChatGPT says. That escalates the crime from concealment into industrial terrorism territory. My view is that evidence fits a simpler explanation better. He chose Cervi 319 because it was a remote, familiar, and psychologically safe for him, to him as a worker. He likely believed the tanks would delay discovery and chemically degrade evidence over time. That said, I don't think there's a legitimate question about whether he fantasized about the site eventually erasing evidence through corrosion, decomp, tank maintenance cycles. Interesting that ChatGPT entered the tank maintenance cycles, or even a future accident. That's different from actively planning an explosion. Yeah. So yeah, that is what ChatGPT said, and as we can see, it knows it's starting to understand a little more about the Watts case, probably because I'm feeding some of it into it. But yeah, so now that we have a little more right of an understanding of what the theories are, what do we think? Yeah, I think this is right, right? Yeah, what do we think about this? Because right, I don't think, based on the evidence, I don't think that they were planning an actual explosion. But I am kind of leaning towards maybe they needed help from coworkers, and so maybe they were asking for help indirectly. They weren't actually asking them to be accomplices to a crime, but maybe indirectly, right? Unknowingly. Similar to what I believe Jim and his involvement was. I think that Nicole, was just calling him as like, "Hey, can I get a ride? I don't have a car right now. I'm at Chris's house or whatever." And Jim unknowingly showed up and picked her up. Again, we don't know, but it does seem like this is what's happening. And just so far, based on Troy's interview, I don't believe that he was actively involved in any pre planned explosion, nor, especially a murder. There was nothing in it for him. Yeah, not just a high tech, but high up in the ranks. Yes. Okay, and then so the poll is showing completely unaware, 47%. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end it now. There we go. All right. So the majority of us think that he was completely unaware, but the second one is pre-planned explosion. Hey, so the evidence can still be pointing in that direction, and I see why, right? I do see why. We have a lot of questions, and I did write them down so that we can go down that rabbit hole as well, because as we know, we just found out new information, and I wasn't even planning on it. I wasn't even planning on going down a rabbit hole on learning, right, and teaching myself a lot of the oil the oil field techniques and whatever rovers do. But hey, that's part of the process. That's why it's called Rabbit Hole Rocks, because I go down all the rabbit holes. So, you guys, yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here. I was hoping to finish the whole video, but I mean, we got sidetracked. How could we not? We had a lot of other information that we were not planning for. So here we are.